Good morning, everyone out there. And today we are going to talk about a wonderful topic which kind of really governs the way we live. That is the power of patterns. And we are going to talk about how unseen habits shape our failures, shapes our successes. So I would like to know, have you ever felt like you're stuck in a situation despite you trying to move forward? So think about it. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever felt that it is so easy for someone to clean up a room and it is so difficult for you to do the same thing? It's just an example of room, but it could be any act, any task in your life. What if I told you that the key to changing all of this lies in understanding the patterns you are following every day? Yeah. And when you look at patterns, just give me a moment. Yeah. I forget the name of the person, but someone very famously said, you are what you repeat. You become what you repeat every day. What you repeat every day becomes habits. And when you pile them on throughout various aspects of your life, whether I'm talking about emotional aspect or the responses that you have, they then together form the patterns of life. So patterns basically are, we are talking about repetition. That's what patterns are. We are going to talk about four aspects. One is in detail, what are patterns? The brain science behind patterns. That's the second thing. The third is how do you identify and change these patterns? And the fourth thing we are going to talk about is how handwriting reveals your subconscious patterns. So these are the four things we are going to talk about. What are patterns? What is the brain science behind patterns? How do you identify and change patterns? And what handwriting reveals in terms of patterns? And before I get into the meat of the matter, I would like to introduce myself. I am Preeti Gandhi, a handwriting analyst and a graphoanalytical therapist. And I have been in various industries. Like I have been a co-founder of an advertising agency for 21 years. And I have done a number of other things leading me to this space of handwriting, the beauty of handwriting, the science of handwriting, the kind of impact it has on our lives. And because I have gone through my own ups and downs, and handwriting has been a key component that has helped me overcome those challenges, then it became a mission of my life to support souls to lead their own life. And when I say lead your own life, is you lead what is your desire, what is your purpose in life, and lead your life that way. If we don't do that, then we end up leading someone else's life. It could be our parents, it could be our spouse, it could be our children. Then we are led by what they want us to do, what they expect out of us. So as a person who has gone through their own journey, I really believe in spreading the beauty of this science, the power of this science, the simplicity of this science as a powerful tool for personal change, for personal development, for personal awareness. So, yes, coming back to the topic of patterns. So, what are patterns? What are our, uh, how are patterns formed? So, without getting into the technicalities, everything happens in our brain. And we have three components to the brain. One is the conscious mind, the other is the subconscious mind, and third is the unconscious mind. Now, conscious mind is what we think in awareness. Like, for example, if I want to be uh, an actor today, an actress today, that's my conscious mind. Okay. I'm consciously thinking about it. The subconscious mind is where my patterns are. And it is my patterns that will govern how I follow or do not follow the dreams that I see in my conscious mind. For example, I'm not someone who really likes to dress up or who really likes to uh, put on a lot of makeup. So this subconscious pattern of mine, does it really gel with wanting to be an actress? May or maybe not. In more probability, not. So whether I may want to become an actress, but do my subconscious patterns support that dream? That is something that we need to think about. And patterns are the behaviors, thoughts, and emotional responses that we repeat every day. They become habits that guide our actions without you even knowing about it. For example, a child walks into the room and the child walked in a particular way. Now, knowingly, unknowingly, you just end up, you know, reprimanding the child, screaming at the child. It's only later on you realize, oh, there was no need of it, but it just happens. It's as if you have no control over it. Now those are, the strong neural pathways that have already been formed in a very, very powerful way. For example, the way you tie your shoes, it happens so unconsciously. If someone says, oh, how do you tie your shoes? You may not really be able to, tell it step by step because it happens at a subconscious level. Yes, now if someone tells you tie your shoe in a different way, like make this particular pattern, it may be difficult for you because the subconscious pattern is of a particular way. Now, there are also emotional patterns. For example, if someone says, it often happens that some of your friend will say, Are, you can do this. But inside you, the subconscious pattern is, I don't think I'm good enough to do it. It's my idea. How can that idea be good? And because this subconscious pattern is there, you will not end up taking actions. So that is what patterns are, how they govern our body, how they govern our life. Body also, absolutely, because when you want to go out for an exercise, the subconscious pattern or the body feels, that क्यों इतना तकलीफ देना है बॉडी को, चल तो रहा है, यू आर एबल टू डू थिंग्स, सो इट्स ओके, फिटनेस बाद में देखेंगे. So your mind, your body then comes in sync and says, okay, I don't want to go for exercise today. So that's not a good sync, but yeah, that's how it happens. So when you want to change your habits, your new behaviors, for it to become automatic, you have to go through the process of habit formation. And old habits are kind of very hard to break, and new habits are hard to form because the behavioral patterns that we repeat as human beings, they become imprinted in our neural pathways. So what you see as a strong pathway, what you see as a weak pathway, they become imprinted in our mind. And every day, every moment of our life, we are either walking the same path or we are creating a new one. When you're creating a new one, you really need to do it in a conscious way, in a proper way, so that you're building a good one and not a bad one. So the key point here is the patterns we follow in our daily lives either become the foundation for success or it becomes a trap that leads to failure. Yeah. Okay. So that's how they are building blocks. They are building blocks of success or failure. And there is a wonderful saying that Rome was not built in a day. It is a step-by-step process. Similarly, success does not come in one big leap. Like one fine day you wake up and say, "Aaj main ye kar dunga and I'll be a successful person." Really doesn't happen that way. It doesn't come in one big leap. In fact, it is built on small, consistent action that you repeat over time, and you do the necessary cementing, which are actually scientific processes that many a times we follow in an unconscious way. But if you're aware of it, then it becomes easier for you to build new habits. I mean, if we take example of Virat Kohli, we so very well know that he has a daily fitness routine. In fact, not just Virat Kohli, all the successful sportsmen, if you see, they have a very, very proper fitness routine. They'll have a strict diet. They have focused training schedules. They have proper resting schedules. And that is what, when you build it over a time, it leads to success. Now, what are these patterns that I'm talking about? What is it that's happening in the brain? So this, we first spoke about the first topic, what are patterns? The second topic was about the brain, the science behind it. And our brain, it loves patterns because it saves energy. Have you ever realized that when you're driving on your way home, you never really have to think? Your steering wheel will automatically turn left, it will automatically turn right because it has become automated. The brain loves to save energy. Now, because that process is automated, you are now able to talk while driving. You can, shift music while driving. You can even give bad words to someone who is honking behind. Now you're able to do all that because the process of driving and the path that you're taking is automated. So when you repeat a behavior, the brain forms connections and it makes it easier to repeat it next time. And there is the Hebb theory. Donald Hebb had developed this theory of neurons that fire together, they wire together. So, for example, when you took a path to your home, there was a certain set of routines that you did. There were certain set of neurons that were fired together. Now, when they are fired together, they are wired together. And once they are wired together, if you remember seeing this, once they are wired together, a neural pathway is formed. And once that pathway is formed, it happens automatically. That's the way the brain functions. And all these memories, they reside in basal ganglia, that blue thing that you see there. That's where all the habits are stored. And they are stored in this particular place. And that is why it allows us to perform these habits without really thinking about it. Like, you really do not have to think when you enter home and you switch on the light. You really do not think about it. Your fingers just go there because the brain remembers where is the switchboard. It even remembers that which first, second, third, fourth switches of light, whichever switches of fan. And that's how it just happens automatically. Yeah. So one tip that I would like to give you is that when you want to change a habit, you start small. If you want to wake up earlier, start by setting up your alarm just 10 minutes before. For example, if you have a habit of waking up at 7 and you want to wake up at 5, do not have a target of waking up at 5, because the brain loves convenience. The brain loves to save energy. The brain likes a particular zone to be in. So if you say 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock to 5 o'clock, inside the brain has already thought, 2 hours before, I don't think I can wake up. So the brain will just not support you in waking up at 5. But you wake up at 7 and you say, okay, tomorrow I want to wake up at 6:50. The brain thinks, yeah, that's okay. 10 minutes early, it's doable. So it will support you in taking that action. 6:50 will not be a very difficult task to wake up. So that's how the brain supports us, or at times goes against it, in what we want to do in our life. So that is how the brain patterns are to be created. That's what you need to be careful of. Okay. So that's about the brain patterns, how it functions. Now, how do we use this knowledge to our advantage? Just a moment. Yeah. Yeah, to use this knowledge to our advantage, because we now understand that what are habits, what are patterns, how habits become huge patterns and they impact our life. We will also take certain examples about that. But before that, how do we use it to our advantage? So you can follow a simple 3-step process. First is identify the pattern. Take a moment each day to notice that what are those habits or thoughts that you automatically repeat. It's, for example, I gave you the example of you getting upset with your child. It just happens automatically. At times you wonder, why can't I even, despite knowing, why can't I stop it? Or when I wake up, it's just unconsciously, you just pick up the phone and you check that what are the notifications and stuff like that. So these are automatic things that happen. Now, how do you use this? Now, how do you use this for self-improvement? So that's the first thing you identify. Identify the pattern. The second step you do is replace. Don't erase. It is difficult to delete habits, but yes, you can replace them. So, for example, instead of snacking when you are stressed, you can keep some dry fruits with you. So every time you're stressed and you feel like snacking, you replace it with having dry fruits. Or you can replace it by just taking few deep breaths. So replace a habit. It is very difficult to erase. I mean, it requires a different level of training, a different level of competency to be able to erase. And frankly, it's really, really difficult. Replacing is far more easier. So replace a habit rather than erasing. And third is commit to repetition. The more you repeat a positive action, the stronger the new pattern becomes. Again, I will take you to this slide. The thing that you see on the left side, the person has walked on this path number of times. It's become a strong pathway, and this can be repeated now without really thinking hard. So that's how you build up strong pathways. Repetition is what is important. On the other hand, if you see the one on the right side where it's a weak pathway, it will be very easy for this pathway to just dissipate. Over a period of time, if you don't repeat, the pathway will vanish. So even though, when we talk about neurons that fire together, wire together, so maybe in the right hand side, you did have that pattern of neurons firing together, so wiring together. The wiring has formed. But if the repetition doesn't happen, that wiring will just vanish after certain time period. So it is important for you to repeat the thing. Otherwise, it's not really going to become a permanent pattern. And when it's not permanent, it is not in subconscious mind. And if it is not in subconscious mind, it is not going to be easy for you to repeat that again and again. So that's the second aspect of the science behind how it functions. What is the process you can use to take advantage of this knowledge? And the next point is how handwriting and patterns are correlated. Your handwriting is actually a snapshot of your subconscious mind. So for example, if I take example of, let me see who I have here, Sham Gupta. So the way Mr. Sham Gupta may write his name, he may say that, okay, I, Sham Gupta, am attending Maven's speaking, Maven's session. So when he writes, I, Sham Gupta, so the way what he writes is the conscious mind, because he's consciously thinking, yes, right now I'm sitting in a session and I'm listening. So that's a conscious mind. But the way he will write I, the letter S, the letter H, the letter Y, the letter A, the letter M, that is the subconscious mind. Now, he may not have control over how he writes SHYAM, because even every one of you, when you look at your writing in your school, college days, it was very different from what it is today. If you try to copy the writing that you had so many years back, it won't be easy, because this current writing is your subconscious mind snapshot. So whatever has happened over the years is now showing up as those patterns. Now, every stroke reveals something about the patterns you are following, both consciously and subconsciously. Now, consciously, it could be about how you are, things that you're aware of. Like I just now said that consciously you are watching this session. Those are conscious patterns. Those are conscious things that you're aware of. Subconscious ones are the ones that are running in background. For example, if there is a pattern that you are watching a video and because you're not in a physical setting, you may end up checking your mobile from time to time. Now, those are subconscious patterns. You may not even realize that you have ended up picking up a mobile and, watched it. The conscious pattern may be that, yes, I want to earn X amount of money by next year. Okay. The subconscious pattern may be, can I really do it? Do I have it in me to be able to take these big steps? Now, if there is an alignment, this thing will happen. If the alignment is not there, it won't happen. For example, if the thought is that I want to learn XYZ, but the subconscious pattern is of self-doubt, the chances of it becoming reality is less. But if your conscious pattern is that, if your conscious thought is, I want to walk every day 15 minutes, and your subconscious pattern is, I want to learn. I want to learn to do new things. The chances of that habit formation is much higher. So handwriting is the link to your subconscious mind. I mean, everything the moment you put your pen on paper, the subconscious patterns begin showing up. Even depending on, the space that you leave on right hand side, the space you leave on the left hand side, the space you leave at the top, the space you leave at the bottom. If it is a ruled paper, do you write on the line? Do you write above the line? Do you write below the line? Everything about your handwriting is talking about your subconscious patterns. So your handwriting is a very simple and beautiful link to your subconscious mind, because we really do not know which subconscious patterns are supporting us and which patterns are not supporting us. So with that, uh, and that is why I really like the tool of handwriting, because it's powerful and it's simple, and it's something that we have learned when we were of the age 6. We don't have to learn any new skill to utilize handwriting as a tool for personal growth. Now, how does pattern affect our life? That's the next thing I would like to talk about. And nothing works like stories. If I tell you 10 things about how following a particular routine can help you, it is like, okay, Preeti is talking. Yes, it is Gyan. I'm listening, blah, 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 blah. But if I tell you a story, you can really correlate to it. So let's hear some real life examples of, okay, before going to that, this is an example of, the subconscious patterns. If you see the slant of these writings, the first one is straight. The next one is more towards the right. The third one is more towards the left. Now, these are subconscious patterns of how you express yourself emotionally. So as a graphologist, every sample, handwriting sample, the slant tells me whether the person is expressive, or the person will express at a particular time, or the person will not express, will keep the emotions in their heart. Yeah. And let's look at some stories driven by patterns. The first one is about a I mean, he's one of my idols, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He's known as the Missile Man. He has been our president. And when you look at how he has, the patterns that he has, now he really has a lot of discipline in his life. And one of the things that Dr. Abdul Kalam always talks about is learning. He has never stopped learning. Even in the, even in the last stages of his life, he was always a learner. And that's why technological advancements came so easily to him. Becoming a president came so easily to him because he was always a learner. Now, what was the impact? Now, these patterns of having a discipline, I mean, he's very famous for having a very, very proper daily routine. So these patterns of having a proper discipline, of being a lifelong learner, they led him to be known as the Missile Man, and he became a key figure, in countries' defense and space sectors. And what is the lesson to learn? That consistent habits of discipline, lifelong learning, they build a strong foundation on which you can achieve success, both personal as well as professional. So that's a story of how He utilized the patterns to be the person he is, to inspire so many people. The next person I would like to take is this is a kind of a science person and a politician. The second one is business, because when we talk about money, business or work is something that becomes an important factor. So what is it about Dhirubhai Ambani that has led to his success? He has patterns of resilience, and he has patterns of hard work, and he has patterns of risk taking. He's never shied away from taking big risk. When the capacity of a product consumption in India was X, he went ahead and built a manufacturing unit of 2X, so which is like a huge risk. So those are things that has defined, those patterns have defined his success and the way he has achieved those successes. He has been resilient. I mean, uh, he has been somebody who has really taken risks to the next level. He has been persistent. Whatever things he has taken up, he's been persistent, seen that it goes right up to the end. Now, what has been the impact? His willingness to embrace calculated risk has formed this empire that he has created for himself and for the country, and the kind of strides that the company makes, the kind of profits it gives to the shareholders. So it's kind of a win-win. Of course, there are many other things, negative things that are associated with this person. But today we are talking about how the patterns have led to his success. And so, yeah, this is one person that I would want to have spoken about. The third person I would like to talk about is a sports person. Now, we all know the story of Maricom. We've known that she was a woman who again came into the field after having 3 children. Now, that's not easy. And we are talking about resilience, hard work as the key points by which she could achieve this success. She never let it go. She kept following her dreams. And because she was so, you know, what can I say? Resilient, yes, but also she was so determined about it that the support then started coming together for her. Now that's the story of resilience and hard work. How these patterns can give you success, can inspire so many Indians to get into sports, to get into boxing, to give you the um, to give you faith that it is possible when you put your mind to it. So see how these patterns create the success story and gives hope, faith, and inspiration to so many people. While we speak about so many success stories, I would like to even talk about how it can lead to failure. Now, this is a person that we all know of. He has been the person behind the stupendous success of Kingfisher. At the same time, the patterns, when you look at his patterns, the patterns of, uh, you know, excessive indulgence, patterns of neglect. I mean, he's supposed to be having this kind of a golden toilet in I think his London home. I'm not very sure about that. But yes, so look at the the extravagance to a degree where it really does not serve any purpose. So this pattern is not just reflected in a golden toilet, it's reflected in so many areas of his life. And when you look at the pattern of neglect, how despite having a very successful venture of Kingfisher, as the liquor brand, as an airline brand, but not paying attention to what that company requires in terms of financial prudence, in terms of so many factors. Now, where did all that lead to? Now, it is these patterns that he repeated time and time again in every area of his life, in his relationships, in his personal conduct. So his entire empire that he created just crumbled under the weight of these patterns. So if we look at the patterns here, yes, the patterns of excessive spending and neglecting the core responsibilities led to the personal and professional downfall. No matter how successful he was, but finally, this is what it led him to. So that's how the patterns can also lead to, this kind of failure. And that is why patterns really matter because, and that's why pattern really matters because they run in the background. You at times do not have say in it, and they determine how well you function. So good habits, of course, will help you in moving forward, while the bad habits, they can sabotage your success. Even if you reach the peak of your success, peak of your career, peak of whatever dreams you had in mind, but the bad habits, eventually they sabotage your success. And it's not that life does not have its up and downs. Of course it does. But the bad habits ensure that the downs happen more often. The downs they suck you in really bad. And if you have the good habits, the good patterns, even when the downs are there, you do not lose control of yourself. And you end up coming back into this phase you want to be in. So, our lives are shaped by our habits. Identifying and intentionally shifting each one habit even a simple habit, even a single habit, can create a ripple effect. Now, imagine if you decide to wake up early, even half an hour early. It's a small habit that you're creating of waking up half an hour early. But this small habit, when you do consistently, means every single day you are getting half an hour extra. So if I'm talking about if I talk about 6 working days, I'm having 3 hours extra. Imagine the kind of things that you can do in 3 hours. You can look after your health. You can read some books, enhance your knowledge. You can probably spend time with your family. You could probably cook some healthy food at home. Now, one small habit, look at the ripple effect it can have in multiple areas of your life. So small, consistent actions really lead to long-term success, fulfillment. And in the same way, small bad habit can really create ripple effects. Now, at a personal level, I would want to share one bad habit that I had was I would, many years back, never reach on time. I was famous for, like if the time to reach is 9 o'clock, everybody would say, "Huh, Preeti to will not come before 9:30." Now imagine it's a one small habit of reaching late, but look at the ripple effect it has. People lost trust in me that she will not really reach on time. I lost respect of people, even though I did 10 things amazingly well. But this one thing made people lose trust in me. I would feel, kind of small because I reached late. So I would always conduct myself from a space of, oh God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My conversations would begin with, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Now, one small habit can have so many ripple effects in different areas of our life. And that is why habits matter, patterns matter, because they govern our life. Yes, now, today, after working on myself, when I enter a meeting, I know I'm on time or probably a minute or two early. I've still not reached the space where I'm 10 minutes early. It's work in progress. But yes, you can understand by this example how things really matter, how your habits matter, your patterns matter. Some practical tips for all the people present here currently or watching it later on the recording. Start small. Do not aim big. So I already gave an example of how just waking up 10 minutes early, half an hour early can, it's a small change to happen. From 7 o'clock to 6:50 is doable. But from 7 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the morning, it's too big a step for the brain to take the initiative. So first, start small. Secondly, track your progress. Use anything, a habit tracker or a journal, or, there is this wonderful book of Atomic Habits by James Clear, and he gives a very nice example of, our brain loves to do tick mark. So If you are starting a small habit, and if somewhere in your home on a board or in your book, if you have this tick mark kind of a thing, that, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And today, if you woke up at 6:50, you go do a tick mark there. Tuesday, you woke up at 6:50, do a tick mark. Wednesday, you didn't wake up at 6:50, do a cross there. Some of the brain will not be happy doing a cross. You may, in fact, hesitate to do a cross because the brain doesn't like it. So on a Thursday, the probability of you waking up at 6:50 is much higher. So when you track, the brain can see it, then the neural pathways start becoming better because you're tracking it, you're repeating it. And as I said, replace, don't eliminate. You just can't quit a bad habit. You have to replace it with something positive. So, so these are practical tips by which you can start creating a new pattern for yourself. And remember, habits are powerful tools. I cannot even begin to talk about how habits can change your life. So once you understand that every action contributes to a larger pattern, you can actively shape your life to align with your long-term goals rather than letting bad habits, slowly pull you away from success. So those are certain tips that I would like to share with you. And in conclusion, making patterns work for you, because patterns really are the foundation of both success and failure. I gave you the example of Vijay Mallya in failure. I gave you my own example of how my past pattern was of, of showing up late practically every single time. And these lead to a lot of failures in life. At the same time, how good patterns can lead to success. When I realized my mistake, when I realized this pattern of mine, I really worked hard on it through my graphotherapy, through other tools that I learned over a period of time. But graphotherapy, and in that also two particular patterns, really helped me to come out of these pattern of showing up late every time. And today I feel so satisfied and fulfilled that yes, I was able to change one pattern, and the brain learns fast. When the brain sees that, yes, you changed one pattern, the way you do one thing is then easy to duplicate. Then the brain can duplicate that in other areas of life. We also discussed about famous personalities like Abdul Kalam and Marie Kom, of how those patterns can build success for you. So your brain naturally builds habit. So choose those habits that you're building. And the other takeaway is that handwriting reveals your subconscious patterns, and you have the power to change them. When I initially learned handwriting analysis, I was there was one particular pattern that my writing was showing, and I was in denial. I was like, yes, rest all is fine. But this pattern, no, I don't have this. I don't have this. I was in denial. I was not ready to accept that this subconscious pattern exists in me. But yes, handwriting was a tool that helped me to become aware of myself, aware of my strengths, aware of my weaknesses, and that gave me the power to change them. So, so make these patterns work for you, because I strongly believe that whatever happened in past, like I had a bad habit of reaching late, that is in past. What I do today and future is in my hand. I can choose to create a pattern to reach on time. Similarly, you can choose a pattern to exercise regularly. You can choose the pattern. You can choose those habits where you eat healthy. You can choose patterns where you manage your time better. So these are patterns you can choose, because finally it is in our hands to do this. We can choose to do it. And with that, I would like to, you know, uh, have be open for the questions that you may have. But my urge to you will be utilize these patterns in your favor rather than against you. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask.